Beijing slams Australia. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, let's have a look at a news article discussing, well, the continuing strain in relationships between Australia and China as Beijing slams Australia's attack on because we cancelled Victoria's Belt and Road Initiative. Now, I don't really understand how states can make agreements, or even cities can make agreements with foreign powers, but apparently that's something that can happen in Australia up until recently. But you also have to understand, while Victoria signed this agreement, Canberra, at the federal level, signed one with China long before that too. This doesn't seem to get any attention there, so I'm a bit skeptical about everything that we've got here, particularly coming out in the media. But first, let's have a look at the Australian and China trade relationship. Now, I've brought this up from the Observatory of Economic Complexity, where you can see, well, our exports from Australia to China are $111 billion. They're our number one destination. From China to Australia, their exports are, what's the total? Their exports are 52.7 billion. Our number one export is iron ore. Their number one export is broadcasting equipment, like the stuff I'm using to record here. We're 12th for them as destinations. Now, if we scroll down here, we can, well, one thing we can see, look at our economic complexity. We're 82nd in the world. China is 29th. The Chinese economy is more advanced than ours. Yet, our politicians, now leaders, arguing that we should feel guilt for China using our coal and burning it in the atmosphere, or India using our coal and natural resources and burning it in the atmosphere, and that we need to limit our ability to take advantage of that technology to mitigate the impact on the environment. If anything, perhaps the complexity of economies, that should be used to determine who is a developing nation or not, because frankly, we're a colony, guys, with what we can produce here. Just keep that in mind. Nothing wrong with it, but, you know, we shouldn't be limiting ourselves and reducing our quality of life for simply global virtue signaling. So down to here, we can see number one product, iron ore. This is what's coming to, from exports from China to Australia, exports from Australia to China, iron ore, then petroleum, then coal and gold, broadcasting equipment, computers, refined petroleum, other furniture. Look at just the amount and detail of what's coming from China. All of our cheap stuff that we have inside our house, the microphone I'm looking at here, the 6 screens I've got in front of me here, everyone. And here we can have just the latest data, 53% coal, iron ore. This is showing us the differences in imports from Australia and China. I think Papua New Guinea is the only country which is importing more from Australia than China in the whole world. Well, there we have it. So that gives you a bit of understanding of the relationship with regards to trade between Australia and China. So let's have a look at this article, which is discussing how Beijing is slamming Australia. China has lashed out at Australia over the cancelled Belt and Road Initiative deal, branding the move a suicidal attack and vowing to respond with potentially crippling countermeasures. Remember, there's been a lot of rhetoric, a lot of saber rattling about this with regards to the impact of China on our trade. I'm becoming more skeptical about it, about what we're hearing. You know, there's other markets in the world too that Australian exporters are finding to mitigate the impact of China. And some of the businesses, you know, the products that exported from Australia to China, like beef, some of the abattoirs are Chinese owned anyway, so okay. The latest stoush kicked off on Wednesday night when Foreign Affairs Minister Marisa Payne announced the two Belt and Road agreements would be axed under new laws. The deal was cancelled after the Morrison government claimed the agreements did not meet the national interest test. Ms. Payne said in a statement she found the agreements to be inconsistent with Australia's foreign policy or adverse to our foreign relations. I will continue to consider foreign agreements notified under the scheme, the statement read. I expect the overwhelming majority of them to remain unaffected. I look forward to ongoing collaboration with states, territories, universities, and local governments in implementing the Foreign Arrangement Scheme. So what is the Belt and Road Initiative? The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, evolved out of the 2013 One Belt, One Road plan, which was devised by China as a means of establishing a large global network of trade routes with many nations. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews attended a summit on the matter in Beijing in 2017, with the state inking a memorandum of understanding with China in 2018 to join dozens of other nations in the BRI. But Victoria isn't a nation as much as Victorians hope, or wish it was. They did join the Federation, and leaving the Federation is going to be pretty hard. China's BRI involves scores of broad-ranging international infrastructure projects funded by Beijing in what President Xi Jinping claims is a win-win for all parties. China hits back. Unsurprisingly, the move to cancel the deal angered Beijing, with the Chinese embassy spokesman warning in a statement it could further derail already soured relations between the two nations. We express our strong displeasure and resolute opposition to the Australian Foreign Minister's announcement on April 21 to cancel the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation within the framework of the Belt and Road Initiative and the related framework agreement between Chinese side and Government of Victoria, the spokesman said. This is another unreasonable and unprovoked move taken by the Australian side against China. It further shows that the Australian government has no sincerity in improving China-Australian relations. It is bound to bring further damage to bilateral relations and will only end up hurting itself. And last night, China's government mouthpiece, the Global Times, kicked the criticism up a notch, slamming the decisions as unreasonable and deliberate provocation against China, and vowing retaliation, including potentially crippling countermeasures, in a brutal op-ed. Now, with these type of things, it's no different to our rags here in Australia, I imagine, in many ways, for political reasons. Do we really have to worry? Clearly, Canberra is increasingly unhinged. Well, I guess we can all agree about that in general. Isn't that politics all over the world? And in way over its head by taking such a suicidal attack on not just China, but also its own economic interests, the piece reads. Since the cancellation of the BRI deal, speculation has been rife that Canberra may soon suffer from the wrath of its largest trading partner. Given the viciousness and seriousness of the move, we won't be surprised if China takes forceful countermeasures to inflict serious pain on Australia. The article also took aim at Australia by describing it as nothing more than a tiny sidekick of the US. Well, can we get migration rights to the US by default? Oh wait, Biden's in charge. So, here we go. 2019 to 2020, Australia purchased 83.4 billion worth of goods, and we sold from 2019 to 2020 167.7 billion worth of goods in China. Barley, timber, beef, coal, everything, and wine has been affected. Even rock lobster. That's a crazy industry. Particularly in regards to just how dependent they are on China. Just the New Year's slump, the Chinese New Year's slump, could have affected their entire industry. With the cancellation of the BRI agreements, Canberra once again laid bare that it had no intention of easing tensions with China. Instead, it is further seeking to poison bilateral cooperation with its largest trading partner, it continues. That just adds to a long list of hostile actions taken by Australia, which was the first country in the world to ban Huawei's 5G equipment and has shamelessly followed the US in every attempt to smear China over issues relating to Hong Kong and Xinjiang, among others. It also outlined the action already taken against Australian businesses, including winemakers, farmers, and seafood exporters, which have already suffered due to the downward spiral in bilateral relations. It claimed that Australia's move could also threaten China's BRI agreements with other nations, which meant countermeasures against Australia may be necessary to send an unmistakable signal that ill attempts to undermine win-win cooperation under the BRI will not go unpunished. If you don't accept a win-win deal, you'll be punished. However, Professor Hans Henderschnick from the University of Sydney Business School said in a statement the cancellation of the trade and investment agreements were in line with the current downgrade of diplomatic relations with China. The commercial impact from cancelling the agreement is minimal, as these were standard trade and investment promotional agreements that are routinely signed by corporate and government entities. The Chinese National Development and Reform Commission is a planning and coordination body without executive powers, he said. Legally, the cancellation of the agreements with China brings Victoria in line with other states, which don't specifically refer to the Belt and Road Initiative in their dealings with Chinese counterparts. So there we have it, everyone. So what's the solution or the takeaway from this? And I mean, is it really something that we need to be concerned about, or is it saber rattling? Is it something to drive animosity and well, we've got an election year coming up, if not this year, next year. Is this also just to fuel a bit of a political tension there? So ScoMo can say, look what we did here. We just protected you from this evil Chinese trade agreement, and you've got these rags in China just trying to stoke the fire and get some public sentiment going. Oh, look at the evil Australians! Look at what they're doing to us. And in both countries, it's the normal people that are screwed over by their political class, trying to manipulate them through the media, and fire up tensions and anger. What do you think? If we look at iron ore price, it's still doing real well. Still demand for that. So we'll see. Keep an eye on it. I think in some ways it can be a bit saber rattling and a little bit, just point scoring. We'll have to see, everyone. Are you worried? Let us know. As always, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Aussiebroadband. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via SelfWealth. You can also help us out by signing up for SelfWealth or Stake with our share trading. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.